The great hall of the Galactic Council buzzed with the usual morning chatter. Representatives from 47 different species sat in their assigned sections, discussing trade routes and mining rights. Ambassador Park Soman adjusted her simple blue dress and checked her notes one more time. Today would be another ordinary day of peaceful negotiations. Or so everyone believed. Park Soman had served as humanity's chief representative for 12 years. The other species knew her as a reasonable woman who always found ways to solve problems without conflict. She smiled often and spoke softly. The aliens found humans refreshingly peaceful compared to the aggressive Vorthok or the scheming hegemony of 6. What they did not know was that Park So-min had been trained in 17 different forms of combat before she ever learned diplomacy. But that was a secret humanity had kept for 150 years. On the other side of the galaxy, Admiral Lee Daeho stood on the bridge of the merchant vessel Peaceful Trader. At least, that was what the ship's registration claimed. The vessel carried farming equipment and medical supplies to human colonies. The manifest listed no weapons, no military personnel, and no combat capabilities. This was also a lie. Hidden beneath the cargo holds were weapon systems that could turn a planet into glass. The crew wore civilian clothes, but each one had served in humanity's secret military for at least 10 years. Admiral Lee had fought in wars that no alien species even knew had happened. The Peaceful Trader was one of 8,000 similar vessels scattered across human space. Each one looked harmless. Each one could destroy a small fleet if needed. But humanity had worked very hard to make sure such violence would never be needed. Dr. Kim Taizung sat in his office on Earth, reading reports from across the galaxy. His official job was Director of Human Historical Studies. Universities across known space invited him to speak about humanity's peaceful journey to the stars. Students wrote papers about how humans had evolved beyond their primitive, warlike past. Kim Taizung kept these lies alive because the truth was too dangerous to share. Humanity had not evolved beyond war. They had simply gotten very good at hiding. Their ability to wage it his computer chimed with an incoming message. The sender was Captain Yoon Ji-woo, currently operating under the cover identity of a mining surveyor in the Outer Rim. Kim opened the message and felt his blood turn cold. The message contained only coordinates in a single word: genocide. Captain. Yoon Ji-woo crouched behind the twisted metal remains of what had been a school in New Busan's capital city. Her surveyor uniform was torn and bloody. Her mining equipment had been abandoned 3 kilometers back when she realized what was really happening to the human colony. The Vorthok had not come to conquer New Busan. They had come to exterminate every human man, woman, and child on the planet. Yoon watched through her scope as Vorthok soldiers dragged civilians from their homes. The reptilian aliens moved with cruel efficiency. They separated the humans into groups, then systematically executed them. Children, elderly, everyone. The Vorthok were not taking prisoners. They were not seeking surrender. They were conducting murder on a planetary scale. Yoon activated her hidden communication device and began transmitting everything she saw. The images and data flowed through secret channels that had not been used in decades. Channels that led directly to people like Dr. Kim and Admiral Lee. As she transmitted, Yoon heard something that made her stomach turn. The Vorthok were broadcasting their actions across the galaxy. They wanted other species to see what they were doing to humanity's children. It was a demonstration of power. A message that said the Vorthok Confederation would not be challenged. Engineer Choi Min-ho received the transmission in his workshop on Mars. He had spent the last 15 years designing agricultural equipment and mining tools for human colonies. His innovations had won awards from the Galactic Engineering Council. Ailing universities taught courses about his peaceful inventions. Every single one of his peaceful inventions could be converted into a weapon of war in less than 4 hours. As Choi watched the footage from New Busan, his hands moved automatically to his secure terminal. He began accessing files that had been sealed since humanity joined the Galactic Council. Files marked with warnings that only appeared in the old human languages that most aliens could not read. Back in the council chambers, Park Salmon felt her secure communicator vibrate against her wrist. She glanced down and saw the priority code that meant everything had changed. For just a moment, her diplomatic mask slipped. The ethereal representative sitting next to her actually moved away. Something in Park Salmon's eyes had triggered an instinctive fear response. The alien could not understand what it had seen, but every prey instinct in its evolved psychology screamed danger. Park Salmon stood and walked calmly to the exit. Her movements were controlled and precise, but several alien representatives noticed that she moved differently now, like a predator that had caught a scent. Admiral Lee received his orders 30 minutes later. He read them twice, then activated communication channels that had been dormant for over a century. Across human space, 8,000 merchant vessels began changing course. Their cargo manifests updated automatically. Farming equipment became siege engines. Medical supplies became chemical weapons. Peaceful traders became warships. The crews did not need explanations. They had trained for this day their entire lives. They had hoped it would never come. But they were ready. Dr. Kim closed his office door and activated privacy screens that used technology the Galactic Council did not know existed. He began making calls to people whose official jobs were historians, archaeologists, and cultural attaches. Their real jobs were much different. Within 6 hours, every human in a position of authority across the galaxy had received the same message. The Vorthok had crossed a line that humanity had drawn in secret 150 years ago. The diplomatic experiment was over. Captain Yoon continued transmitting from New Busan till the Vorthok finally detected her signal. As their soldiers moved toward her position, she uploaded one final message to contain detailed scans of Vorthok, military equipment, tactical formations, and communication protocols. The message also contained something else, a request for permission to activate Protocol Omega, the protocol that would end humanity's greatest lie. Engineer Choi received Yoon's final transmission and added it to files that were already growing massive. Intelligence data, tactical assessments, target lists, everything humanity would need for what came next. He opened a secure channel to Admiral Lee. "The mask comes off," Choi said simply. "About time," Lee replied. Across the galaxy, humanity began to move. Not as the peaceful merchants and diplomats the aliens knew, but as something else entirely. Something that had been hiding in plain sight for 150 years. The Orthok had wanted to send a message about power. They were about to receive a reply. Dr. Kim Tae-soon stood before a room filled with shadows. The underground facility beneath Seoul had not been used for official meetings in over a century. Now it hosted the most important gathering in human history. 137 people sat in the darkness. They wore the faces of teachers, merchants, engineers, and diplomats, but Kim knew their real identities. Each one commanded fleets, armies, or intelligence networks that the galaxy did not know existed. "Welcome to the first War Council meeting in 150 years, Kim said. His voice echoed off walls designed to block every known form of alien surveillance. "We all know why we are here. The Vorthok have given us a gift. They have freed us from the burden of pretending to be something we are not." Admiral Lee Dae-ho activated a holographic display that showed the massacre on New Busan. The images were difficult to watch. Children running from soldiers, families torn apart, entire human city burning while aliens broadcast destruction like entertainment. The Vorthok made one critical error, Lee said. Assumed we were prey because we chose to act like prey. They confused our diplomacy for weakness. They confused our patience for cowardice. Engineer Choi Min-ho stood up from his seat in the back. I have been preparing for this day since I was 16 years old. Every tool I designed, every system I built, every innovation I created has a secondary purpose. The galaxy thinks humans are good at making peaceful technology. They have no idea what our peaceful technology can actually do. A woman in the front row raised her hand. Commander Han Soo-jin had spent 20 years posing as a cultural exchange coordinator. Her real job was training human civilians in guerrilla warfare techniques. What about the colonies? She asked. The galaxy thinks our settlements are just farming communities and research stations. Should we maintain that fiction? Kim shook his head. No more fiction. No more lies. From this moment forward, humanity shows its true face to the universe. He activated another display that showed the real layout of human space. The aliens believed humans controlled about 40 star systems. The truth was closer to 400. Hidden colonies, secret military bases, research facilities, working on weapons that violated every galactic treaty humanity had signed. Every human settlement is a fortress, Kim explained. Every colonist has military training. Every farmer can operate heavy weapons. Every teacher can coordinate orbital strikes. We have been preparing for war while pretending to prepare for peace. Captain Yoon Ji-woo appeared on the display via secure transmission from New Busan. Her uniform was still bloody. Her voice was steady. The Vorthok are using this attack as a demonstration. They want to show the galaxy that humans can be killed easily. They want to prove that our diplomacy comes from fear, not choice. Admiral Lee leaned forward. What they have actually done is give us justification for everything we are about to do. Every species in the galaxy will watch what happens next. They will learn what it means to threaten human children. Engineer Choi activated his personal display. It showed weapon designs that had been classified at the highest levels for decades. Gravity bombs that could collapse entire star systems. Biological weapons that could rewrite alien DNA. Nanotech swarms that could disassemble planets atom by atom. I have never built these weapons, Choi said. I hoped I would never need to, but the designs are complete. The materials are stockpiled. If we decide to cross that line, I can have production facilities online within 48 hours. That room fell silent. These were weapons that could end civilizations. Weapons that went far beyond anything needed to defeat the VORTHAK. Dr. Kim looked around the room. Before we make any decisions about the future, we need to remember our past. Humanity did not join the Galactic Council as conquerors because we were tired of conquering ourselves. The display changed to show images from Earth's history, the world wars, the nuclear age, the corporate wars that had turned Mars into a battlefield, the Martian rebellion that had nearly destroyed both Earth and its first colony. We were very good at killing each other, Kim continued. We developed weapons that could sterilize worlds. We created tactics that turned space itself into a weapon. We fought wars that would have impressed the most violent species in the galaxy, Commander. Han spoke up. Then we met the aliens. They had never seen anything like us, species that evolved from prey animals, civilizations built around avoiding conflict. They were horrified by our history, but they were also fascinated by how we had moved beyond it. Admiral Lee nodded. So, we made a decision. We would join their peaceful galaxy. We would put away our weapons and try to be the species they wanted us to be. We thought maybe we could actually become peaceful. For 150 years, it worked, Kim said. We traded instead of raided. We negotiated instead of conquered. We built instead of destroyed. Many of us forgot what we really were, Captain. Yoon's image flickered as explosions echoed in the background. A tick just reminded us. Engineer Choi closed his weapon files and opened different ones. These showed the current state of human military forces. The hidden fleets, the secret armies, the weapons that looked like tools, and the tools that worked like weapons. We never actually became peaceful, he said. We just became very good at hiding our violence. Every human settlement in the galaxy is better armed than most alien military bases. Every human merchant ship carries enough firepower to conquer a small system. Every human diplomat has killed more enemies than most alien generals. The display showed the true size of humanity's military. 50,000 combat vessels disguised as civilian ships. A key 2 million soldiers disguised as colonists, merchants, and researchers. Weapons stockpiles hidden on every human world. The galaxy thinks there are 8 billion humans, Admiral Lee said. They are correct. What they do not know is that every single one of those 8 billion humans is a trained soldier. Dr. Kim activated the final display. It showed ambassadorial messages from across the galaxy. The ethereal collective offering sympathy for the loss of New Busan. The crystalline hierarchy suggesting economic sanctions against the Vorthok. The hegemony of 6 proposing a peace conference. Look at the responses, Kim said. They think this is a normal diplomatic crisis. They expect U.S. to file complaints and request mediation. They have no concept of what is about to happen. Commander Han smiled for the first time since the meeting began. They are about to get an education. Captain Yoon's transmission crackled with static. The Vorthok are withdrawing from New Busan. They consider their demonstration complete. Think they have proven that humans are weak. Admiral Lee stood up. Then it is time to correct their misconception. All human vessels are to report to designated rally points immediately. All sleeper agents are to prepare for activation. All colonial defense forces are to reveal their true capabilities. Engineer Choi began typing commands into his terminal. I am authorizing production of all previously classified weapon systems. Non-lethal restrictions are removed. Combat protocols are now active. Dr. Kim looked around the room one final time. This great experiment is over. For 150 years, we tried to be the peaceful species the galaxy wanted us to be. The Vorthok have just proven that peace only works when everyone chooses it. He activated the emergency communication system that connected to every human in the galaxy. As of this moment, humanity withdraws from all galactic treaties, accords, and agreements. We will no longer pretend to be something we are not. The message went out instantly to every human world, every human ship, every human citizen across 400 star systems. After 150 years of lies, humanity was about to tell the universe the truth. They had never been the prey. They had always been the predators. Captain Yoon Ji-woo moved through the ruins of New Busan like a ghost. The Vorthok soldiers who had murdered thousands of humans just hours ago now lay dead in the streets. For advanced weapons had not helped them against an enemy they could not see coming. Yoon spoke quietly into her communicator. First phase complete. All Vorthok forces on New Busan have been eliminated, beginning second phase operations. Her voice was calm, but her actions were precise and deadly. She had not come to New Busan as a surveyor. She had come as the advanced scout for something the galaxy had never seen before, across 47 star systems. Similar reports came in from other humans who had been pretending to be civilians, merchants, and researchers. In less than 6 hours, every Vorthok military installation outside their home system had been destroyed. The aliens had never suspected that humanity's peaceful colonists included thousands of Special Forces operatives. Admiral Lee Daeho stood on the bridge of what had been the merchant vessel Peaceful Trader. The ship's exterior still looked the same, but everything else had changed. Cargo holds opened to reveal missile batteries. The medical bay transformed into a command center. The farming equipment unfolded into weapons that could crack moons. All vessels report, ready for combat operations, his communications officer said. The woman had been pretending to be a cargo specialist for 8 years. Her real rank was fleet. Commander Lee looked at the display showing the positions of his fleet. 50,000 human ships were moving toward Vorthok space. 2 alien sensors. They still looked like civilian vessels carrying refugees from the attack on New Bus-An. This was humanity's final deception. Send the message to all Vorthok ships, Lee ordered. Tell them we are coming to discuss the New Busan incident through diplomatic channels. His weapons officer smiled. She had been a cultural exchange student on 7 different alien worlds. Sir, should I prepare the diplomatic solutions? Yes. Load all tubes with maximum diplomatic yield. Engineer Choi Min-ho worked frantically in his laboratory on Mars. The production facilities he had built over 15 years were finally showing their true purpose. Machines that had been making farming tools were now manufacturing weapons that violated every treaty humanity had ever signed. But humanity was no longer bound by those treaties. Gravity displacement bombs are ready for deployment, his assistant reported. The young man had won 3 galactic awards for his peaceful engineering innovations. Each one can collapse an entire star system. Choi nodded grimly. And a nanite. Swarms. Fully operational. They can disassemble any known material at the molecular level. The biological weapons. It's complete. They are designed specifically for Vorthok physiology. 100% lethal within hours of exposure. Choi looked at his life's work. Weapons that could end civilizations. Tools of destruction beyond anything the galaxy had ever imagined. He had hoped he would never need to build them. Begin deployment to all human fleets, he said. It is time the galaxy learned what human engineering actually looks like. Dr. Kim Tae-zong sat in the Galactic Council chambers, watching the alien representatives panic. News of the Vorthok military losses had reached him. 47 star systems. Every installation destroyed. No survivors. The ethereal collective representative was speaking rapidly. This level of coordinated attack is impossible. No species has the capability to strike so many targets simultaneously. The crystalline hierarchy delegate was reviewing tactical data. Its precision is unprecedented. Whoever did this knew exactly where every Vorthok military asset was located. Kim stood up slowly. Every alien eye in the chamber focused on him. They had known him for years as a peaceful historian who gave lectures about humanity's journey beyond violence. Honored representatives, Kim said in his usual quiet voice. I believe I can explain what happened to the Vorthok military forces. The chamber fell silent. Kim activated a holographic display that showed human space. But instead of the 40 star systems the aliens thought humanity controlled, the display showed the truth. 400 systems. Thousands of hidden military bases, fleets that have been hiding in plain sight for over a century. Humanity has been conducting the largest intelligence operation in galactic history, Kim said. For 150 years, we have been mapping every military installation, every government facility, every strategic asset of every species in the galaxy. The alien representatives stared in shock. The ethereal delegate began to shake. You've been spying on us for over a century. Kim nodded. Every human diplomat, merchant, researcher, and tourist has been gathering intelligence. We know the location of every secret base, every hidden weapon, every classified project in your territories. The display changed to show detailed schematics of alien military technology, ships, weapons, defense systems. Information that should have been impossible for humans to obtain. We know how your weapons work, Kim continued. We know your tactical doctrines. We understand your command structures. Okay. We have been preparing for this day since we joined your peaceful galaxy. Keith, the crystalline delegate, spoke with obvious fear. Preparing for what? For the day when diplomacy failed. Kim replied. For the day when someone forced us to remember what we really are. Captain Yoon's voice came through Kim's communicator, broadcasting to the entire chamber. All Vorthok military assets outside their home system have been neutralized. No human casualties. We are now moving to Phase 3 operations. The alien representatives looked confused. They did not understand what Phase 3 meant. Kim smiled for the first time in years. It was not a diplomatic smile. Heil, it was the smile of a predator. Phase 3 is where we stop pretending to be merchants and diplomats, he said. Phase 3 is where you meet the real human military. The display changed again. This time it showed Admiral Lee's fleet as it really was. 50,000 warships armed with weapons that defied galactic understanding. Ships that moved in formations no alien tactical computer could predict. Chronology that turned space combat into an art form. The Vorthok wanted to demonstrate their power by murdering our children, Kim said. We're going to demonstrate ours by removing their species from existence. The ethereal delegate stood up quickly. The council cannot allow genocide. Kim's smile grew wider. The council allowed genocide when you did nothing to stop the Vorthok. You offered us sympathy and suggested peace talks while human children burned. Your peaceful galaxy failed to protect the innocent. He activated another communication channel. Janier Choi's face appeared on the display, surrounded by weapons that looked like science fiction nightmares. I have spent my career designing tools for peace, Choi said. I won your awards for innovation. I taught at your universities. I shared my knowledge freely because I believed in your peaceful civilization. The weapons behind him began to activate. Gravity bombs that could collapse stars. Nanite swarms that could eat planets. Biological weapons that could rewrite DNA. Today, I learned that your peaceful civilization only exists because no one has been willing to destroy it. Choi continued. The Vorthok just proved that your system cannot protect the innocent. So humanity will create a new system. Admiral Lee's fleet reached the edge of Vorthok space. His ships dropped their civilian disguises completely. Weapon ports opened. Shield generators came online. Engines that had been hidden in cargo holds roared to life. All vessels, this is Admiral Lee. His voice broadcast across all channels. We are no longer merchants. We are no longer diplomats. We are the human military, and we are here to teach the galaxy what happens when you threaten our children. The Vorthok home fleet moved to intercept them. 3,000 warships against 50,000. The aliens thought they had superior numbers because they still believed they were fighting merchants. They were about to learn the difference between human merchants and human warriors. Dr. Kim stood up in the council chamber. Honored representatives, humanity formally withdraws from all galactic accords. We will no longer pretend to be something we are not. We will no longer trust in galactic justice to protect human lives. He began walking toward the exit. The Vorthok Confederation ends today. Let that be a lesson to anyone else who mistakes our diplomacy for weakness. The chamber erupted in panicked voices as Kim left. Behind him, the display continued, showing Admiral Lee's fleet as it engaged the Vorthok forces. The battle was not even close. Humanity had finally stopped pretending to be prey. The first Vorthok ship died in silence. Admiral Lee watched through his tactical display as the alien warship simply stopped existing. One moment it was there, firing plasma cannons at what it thought was a merchant vessel. The next moment, it was expanding gas and debris. Target eliminated, his weapons officer reported. No return fire detected. Enemy shields had no effect against our weapons. Lee nodded grimly. The Vorthok had brought their best warships to fight what they believed were desperate refugees. They were learning too late that human merchant vessels carried weapons that could cut through their strongest armor like paper. Broadcasting new rules of engagement to all human forces, Lee announced. His voice carried across 50,000 ships and reached every human settlement in the galaxy. Dr. Kim Tae-sung's voice joined the transmission from Earth. As of this moment, humanity declares total war doctrine against the Vorthok Confederation and all their allies. Any species that provides aid, shelter, or trade to Vorthok forces will be considered enemy combatants. The message continued broadcasting as Lee's fleet systematically destroyed the Vorthok home defense forces. 3,000 alien warships had moved to intercept the humans. Within 2 hours, none of them remained. Captain Yoon Ji-woo led a different kind of battle in the dark spaces between stars. Her hunter-killer teams moved like ghosts through the galaxy, tracking down every Vorthok ship that had fled the main battle. Contact bearing 27 Mark IV, her pilot whispered. They were using a ship that looked exactly like a civilian transport. The Vorthok crew on the enemy vessel probably thought they were seeing refugees. Lock weapons, Yoon ordered. Remember, we are not just destroying ships. You're teaching the galaxy what happens when humans hunt. The Vorthok vessel tried to run when it finally detected the weapons lock. It was too late. Human ships had been designed by people who understood that space combat was really just hunting on a larger scale. Target destroyed, her weapons officer reported. No survivors. Good, Yoon replied. Send recordings to all news networks. Make sure every species in the galaxy sees what human hunters do to their prey. Across the galaxy, other alien species watched the footage with growing horror. The humans were not just winning battles. They were demonstrating a level of tactical precision that redefined what warfare could look like. Engineer Choi Min-ho sat in his laboratory on Mars, watching his weapons perform exactly as designed. The gravity bombs collapsed entire Vorthok space stations into singularities. The nanite swarms dissolved their planetary defense platforms at the molecular level. Sir, his assistant said nervously, the biological weapons are ready for deployment. Should we begin planetary bombardment? Choi shook his head. Not yet. First, we show them what precision looks like. We could sterilize their worlds, but we choose not to. That choice carries more weight than the destruction itself. He activated a communication link to the Vorthok Supreme Commander, Rapillion. Alien appeared on screen, his scales pale with fear. I am Engineer Choi Min-ho, he said calmly. You may know me from my lectures on peaceful technology. I've won several of your science awards. The Supreme Commander hissed with confusion. You are the farming equipment designer. What are you doing in a military facility? Choi smiled. It's teaching you about human farming equipment. He gestured to the weapons surrounding him. Every tool I have ever built for your peaceful galaxy has a secondary function. Would you like a demonstration? Before the alien could respond, Choi activated one of his gravity manipulators. A small moon orbiting the Vorthok home world simply ceased to exist, collapsed into a point of infinite density. That was a mining tool, Choi explained. This is a terraforming device. He triggered a nanite swarm that began disassembling an abandoned space station, reducing it to its component atoms in minutes. The Supreme Commander was shaking now. What do you want? I want you to understand that every peaceful innovation humanity has shared with the galaxy can be weaponized in ways you cannot imagine. We chose not to use them as weapons because we believed in your peaceful civilization. Choi leaned forward. You have just proven that your civilization cannot protect the innocent, so we will replace it with one that can. Dr. Kim stood before the emergency session of the Galactic Council. The alien representatives looked terrified. Reports were coming in from across the galaxy of human forces appearing wherever Vorthok ships had fled. The Skull Nebula Mining Consortium has been completely destroyed, the ethereal delegate reported. They were selling weapons to the Vorthok. The humans eliminated their entire operation in 6 hours. Its crystalline hierarchy representative was reviewing tactical data with obvious confusion. The hegemony of 6 lost their entire merchant fleet. The humans knew exactly where every ship was located, even the ones in classified routes. Kim nodded. I told you yesterday that humanity has been conducting intelligence operations for 150 years. Did you think we were only watching the Vorthok? The chamber fell silent. Kim activated a holographic display that showed detailed maps of every alien territory in the galaxy. Military bases, government facilities, hidden research stations, classified trade routes. Information that should have been impossible for any single species to gather. Every species in this chamber has secrets, Kim said quietly. Weapons projects that violate galactic law. Military bases disguised as civilian facilities. Hidden fleets preparing for wars you thought no one else knew about. The alien representatives looked at each other nervously. Kim's smile was cold and predatory. Oh, we know all of your secrets because humans are very good at keeping secrets ourselves. The question now is whether you would choose to be our allies or join the Vorthok in extinction. Captain Yoon's hunter teams had spread across the galaxy like a virus. Every Vorthok ship, every Vorthok ally, every species that had provided even minor support to the reptilian aliens found themselves facing human predators who moved through space like ancient wolves hunting in the dark. Contact destroyed, came the report from Team 7. Buck supply convoy eliminated. No survivors. Team 12 reporting. Another voice added. Alien trading post that sold food to Vorthok forces has been neutralized. Structured completely. Destroyed. Yoon plotted the attacks on her tactical display. The pattern was clear to anyone who understood hunting behavior. The humans were not just destroying military targets. They were systematically eliminating every resource, every ally, every possible refuge that the Vorthok might use. This is not warfare, she said to her communications officer. Okay, this is extermination. Admiral Lee's fleet reached the Vorthok home system and found it defended by their remaining forces. 2,000 ships, orbital platforms, planetary defense networks. Everything the reptilian species had left after losing their outer territories. Sir, his tactical officer reported, they are broadcasting surrender terms. Lee looked at the display showing new Busan images of human children running from Vorthok soldiers. Families torn apart for an alien demonstration of power. Tell them we do not accept surrenders from species that murder children, Lee said. Tell them they should have thought about mercy before they decided to teach us about cruelty. His fleet opened fire with weapons that had been hidden for over a century. The Vorthok defenses lasted exactly 17 minutes. Engineer Choi watched the final battle from his laboratory and felt no satisfaction in the destruction. They forced us to become monsters again, he said quietly. They made us remember what we really are. Dr. Kim addressed the Galactic Council one final time. The Vorthok Confederation is ending today. Their home system will fall within hours. But understand, this is not about revenge. This is about ensuring that no species ever again mistakes human diplomacy for human weakness. He looked around the chamber at aliens who had thought they knew humanity for 150 years. We tried to be the peaceful species you wanted us to be. We failed, because peace only works when everyone chooses it. From now on, humanity will be exactly what we are. Apex predators who choose our targets very carefully. The galaxy was about to learn what that choice really meant. The fortress world of Kethmoran had never fallen in 3,000 years of Vorthok history. Its orbital defenses could stop entire fleets. Its planetary shields had survived bombardments from every known weapon type. The reptilian species had built their final stronghold to be absolutely impregnable. Admiral Lee Daho studied the massive defense network through his tactical displays. Thousands of weapon platforms, shield generators the size of cities, defense fleets hidden in asteroid fields around the system. "Sir," his communications officer said, "the Vorthok Supreme Commander is requesting one final negotiation." Lee looked at the images from New Busan still displayed on his secondary screens. Human children who would never grow up because aliens had wanted to make a demonstration. "Tell him we tried negotiating for 150 years, Lee replied. "Now we communicate in a language the galaxy understands better." He opened a channel to his entire fleet. 50,000 human warships hung in space around Kethmorin, like a cloud of death. Each one had been disguised as a peaceful merchant vessel just days ago. "All ships, this is Admiral Lee. Today we finish what the Vorthok started when they murdered our children. Today the galaxy learns the final lesson about what humans really are." The human fleet moved forward as one organism. Their formation was perfect, coordinated across light minutes of space with precision that made alien tactical computers crash trying to analyze it. This was not just military training. This was the behavior of a species that had evolved to hunt. As a pack, Captain Yoon Ji Woo led the first wave of attacks against the outer defense platforms. Her ships moved like shadows, appearing from empty space to strike targets that should have been impossible to reach. Target eliminated. Her pilot, reported as another orbital weapon, disappeared in a ball of fire. Moving to next objective. Yoon smiled grimly. The Vorthok had built their defenses based on alien understanding of warfare, expected frontal assaults, predictable tactics, honorable combat between organized forces. They had no idea how to fight predators. "All teams, remember your training," Yoon broadcast to her hunter groups. "We are not soldiers today. We are what humans were before we learned to be civilized." Engineer Choi Min-ho watched the battle from his command center on Mars. His weapons were performing exactly as designed, cutting through Vorthok defenses like they were made of paper. But he felt no satisfaction in the destruction. "The planetary shield generators are down," his assistant reported. "The surface is now vulnerable to bombardment." Choi nodded and activated a communication link to every human ship in the system. "All vessels, you are authorized to deploy any weapon system necessary to complete the mission. There are no restrictions. There are no limits." He paused, thinking of the human children who had died on New Busan. Show them what total war looks like when humans stop holding back. The Vorthok defense fleet emerged from their hiding places. In desperation, 2,000 ships against 50,000. Their commanders knew the mathematics were impossible, but they had no choice. This was their last stand. Admiral Lee watched the alien ships charge toward his fleet with something like respect. They were brave, even if they were doomed. "All ships, engage at will," he ordered. "Remember, we are not just destroying an enemy today. We are teaching the galaxy what happens when humans decide something needs to die." The battle lasted 18 minutes. When it ended, the Vorthok Confederation had no military left. No ships, no orbital defenses, no planetary weapons. Their fortress world lay defenseless before the human fleet. Dr. Kim Taizong broadcast from Earth to every species in the galaxy. His message reached alien homeworlds, space stations, research facilities, and military bases across known space. "The Vorthok Confederation no longer exists as a military power," he announced. "Their fleet is destroyed. Their defenses are gone. Their ability to threaten any species has been permanently removed." He paused, allowing the galaxy to absorb what had happened. A species that had terrorized their neighbors for centuries have been eliminated in less than a week by humans who most aliens thought were peaceful merchants. This was not revenge, Kim continued. This was education. The Vorthok believed that strength came from the willingness to kill innocents. They have learned that true strength comes from the ability to protect innocence. Captain Yoon stood on the surface of Kathmoran, surrounded by the wreckage of what had been the most powerful fortress in the galaxy. Vorthok survivors emerged from bunkers with their hands raised in surrender. "What do you want us to do with the prisoners?" Rue Lieutenant asked. Yoon looked at the reptilian aliens who had cheered while human children burned. They wanted to demonstrate what happens to species they consider weak. Now they get to demonstrate what happens to species that threaten human families. She activated her communicator. "Admiral Lee, the surface is secure. Requesting instructions for prisoner processing." Lee's voice came through clearly. "Captain Yoon, the Vorthok survivors will be relocated to designated worlds under human supervision. They will learn to live peacefully, or they will not live at all." Engineer Choi began the process of converting his weapons back to peaceful purposes. The gravity bombs became mining tools again. The nanite swarms returned to terraforming duties. The biological weapons were sealed away in facilities that only humans could access, but the galaxy would. Remember what those peaceful tools could really do? "Sir," his assistant asked, "should we begin developing new weapon systems?" Choi shook his head. "We have enough weapons to destroy 1,000 galaxies. What we need now is the wisdom to know when to use them and when to show mercy." Admiral Lee addressed his fleet one final time. "All ships, mission accomplished. The Vorthok threat has been eliminated. Begin transition to peacekeeping operations." His officers began the complex process of converting warships back into merchant vessels. But everyone knew the truth now. Every human ship in the galaxy could become a weapon of war in minutes if needed. Dr. Kim stood before the Galactic Council for the last time as humanity's diplomatic representative. The alien faces looked at him with a new understanding. Fear, respect, and careful calculation. "Honored representatives," he said in the same quiet voice he had used for years. "Humanity returns to the galactic community today. But we return as we truly are, not as we pretended to be." He activated a display showing human space as it really existed. 400 star systems, millions of trained soldiers. Technology that could reshape the galaxy. We offered the same deal we offered 150 years ago. Peace, trade, cooperation, and friendship. But this time, you know the cost of refusing that offer. The ethereal delegate spoke carefully, but our humanity's terms for continued peace. Kim smiled. It was not the diplomatic smile the aliens remembered. It was the smile of a predator that had chosen not to hunt. Simple. No species will ever again attack human civilians. No species will ever again mistake our diplomacy for weakness. And no species will ever again assume that peaceful behavior means inability to wage war. He looked around the chamber at representatives who were still processing what they had witnessed. "We tried to be the species you wanted us to be for 150 years. We failed because peace requires everyone to choose it. From now on, humanity will be exactly what we are. We will trade with those who want to trade. We will cooperate with those who want to cooperate. We'll defend those who cannot defend themselves." Kim paused, letting his words sink in. "Away. We'll eliminate any species that threatens innocence, just as we eliminated the Vorthok." The chamber fell silent. Finally, the crystalline hierarchy delegate spoke. "What if a species chooses to be humanity's enemy?" Kim's smile grew wider. "Then they will learn what the Vorthok learned. That humans are very good at making things stop existing." Captain Yoon transmitted the final report from Kathmoran. "All Vorthok military assets confirmed destroyed. Survivors have been processed for relocation. The fortress world is now under human administration. Engineer Choi sealed the last of his weapon designs in vaults that would remain hidden unless humanity faced another existential threat. Weapon systems secured, returning to peaceful operations. Admiral Lee looked out at the stars from his flagship, now displaying civilian markings again. But every alien who saw those markings would remember what they had really represented. Dr. Kim delivered his final words to the galaxy. For 150 years, humanity offered you our friendship while hiding our true nature. The Vorthok forced us to reveal that nature. Now you have a choice. Accept our friendship, knowing what we really are, or discover what we do too. Species that choose to be our enemies. He closed the transmission and walked away from the podium. Behind him, the alien representatives sat in stunned silence, trying to understand what their galaxy had become. Humanity had spent 150 years pretending to be prey animals in a galaxy of peaceful herbivores. That fiction was over. The predators had revealed themselves, and the galaxy would never be the same. But for the first time in galactic history, the innocents would be truly safe, because the hunters were watching.